She wore my face. I never believed in doppelgangers. Not really. Sure, I'd heard the stories, urban legends of people seeing themselves across the street or catching their double's eyes in a passing train window, but I thought it was just misremembered faces or tricks of the mind. That was before I met her. It started on a Sunday morning. The light poured in through the cracks in my blinds, slicing across my bed like knives of gold. I sat up, rubbing sleep from my eyes, when I noticed something odd. My phone had 12 missed calls, all from the same number, all from my best friend, Clara. I called her back immediately. "You're okay?" she asked without saying hello. Her voice was tight. You're really you?" "What kind of question is that?" There was a long pause, then a shaky laugh. "Nothing, just, never mind. I think I had a nightmare." But it wasn't nothing, because later that afternoon, Clara stopped by my apartment and refused to come inside. "You look like her," she whispered from the hallway, staring at me like I was a puzzle she couldn't solve. "Exactly like her." "Clara," I said, trying to stay calm, "you're scaring me." She finally stepped in, but she didn't sit down. She paced, fidgeted, bit her nails. Then she told me what she'd seen. "Last night, around midnight, you came to my door. You were crying. You said you were scared and needed a place to stay." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "But it wasn't you. Not really. There was something wrong with your smile. Too wide. Like it had been practiced." I wanted to laugh it off, but I saw the terror in her face. Clara wasn't the dramatic type. And when she pulled out her phone and showed me the footage from her doorbell camera, I stopped breathing. The woman on the screen looked exactly like me, same brown eyes, same chipped tooth, even the tiny scar above my eyebrow. But she stood perfectly still for a moment before knocking. Her expression was blank. Then, all at once, she smiled. Too wide, too cold. Like Clara said, it looked practiced. That night, I barely slept. I kept my lights on. I locked every window and door. But when I finally drifted off near dawn, I had the worst dream of my life. I was walking through my apartment in the dark. Everything looked the same, but the shadows were too deep and the silence too loud. I reached the bathroom and turned on the light. And there she was, standing in the mirror. Wearing my face, she mimicked me, every movement just a second behind. But her eyes never blinked. Her smile never faded. And just before I woke up, she leaned forward, pressing her palms to the other side of the glass and whispered, "Let me out." The next few days were a blur of paranoia. I felt watched. I heard footsteps behind me on empty streets. I'd catch movement in mirrors that vanished when I turned. Every time I saw my reflection, I flinched. Then things got worse. Clara went missing. Her apartment was locked from the inside, no signs of struggle, no forced entry. Just an open window and a single phrase written on her bathroom mirror in red lipstick. "She knows you're alone now." I went to the police, but what could I say? That a woman wearing my face had taken my best friend. That I was being haunted by myself. They searched, of course, posted flyers, ran interviews, but I could see it in their eyes. They thought I was hiding something. Maybe I was. Because deep down I knew it wasn't just a hallucination. She was real. And she wanted something. She wanted to be me. It wasn't until I visited my childhood home that I found the first clue. My mother had passed years ago, and the house had sat abandoned since. I thought maybe being there would help me feel grounded again. But the moment I stepped inside, the air shifted. Dust coated everything, yet the living room had fresh footprints. My footprints. I followed them upstairs to my old bedroom. Everything was still where I left it. The peeling posters, the chipped dresser, the tiny crack in the mirror from when I threw a brush during a teenage tantrum. But now, something else was there. A photograph on the bed. It was a school picture, me in the 5th grade, wearing a yellow sweater, but someone had scratched out the eyes, and written on the back were 4 words, scrawled in ink so dark it had bled through the paper. I wore it first. My heart stopped. I dropped the photo. I backed away. Then I heard the humming. Faint, low, familiar, a lullaby my mother used to sing. I turned toward the closet. The door was cracked open. "Hello," I whispered. The humming stopped. The door creaked wider, and for a split second I saw her crouched in the darkness. A second me, smiling, motionless, with blackened fingertips and a head that tilted just a little too far. I ran, I drove without stopping until I reached a cheap motel 2 towns over. I didn't care how much it cost, I just needed walls between us. But that night, the nightmares returned. This time, I wasn't walking through the apartment. I was watching myself sleep. From the corner of the room she stood, watching me, breathing in sync with my breaths, blinking when I blinked. And when I tried to scream, she moved first, opened her mouth wider than any human could. Her jaw cracked, her face stretched. Then she whispered, "Your life fits me better." I woke up screaming. The motel manager banged on my door. I tried to explain, but what could I say? I looked in the mirror. There were two of me now, one in the glass, one in the room. And I wasn't sure which one I was anymore. 1 week later, the sightings started. People said they'd seen me in places I hadn't been. One woman said I served her coffee at a gas station 2 towns away. Another swore she saw me wandering barefoot down the highway at midnight, humming a lullaby. Each time they described the same thing: a too wide smile, a lifeless stare, and silence until the whisper, "Let me in." I knew then I was being replaced, not killed, erased. She didn't want to destroy me, she wanted to be me. So I made a plan. One final night, I returned to the childhood house. I brought a hammer, salt, mirrors, and every old superstition I could think of. I placed mirrors around the room, forming a circle. I stood in the center, and I called her name. I didn't know her name, not really. But I spoke to the reflection. I spoke to the face that wasn't mine anymore. "You can have it," I said. "You can wear it." The mirrors rippled. She appeared in all of them at once. A chorus of me, but wrong, twisted, as if drawn by someone who didn't understand humanity, only wanted to mimic it. "Then step aside," she said. "Make room." I felt my limbs freeze, my vision blurred, my heartbeat slowed. But then I remembered Clara. I remembered myself. And I smashed the mirror, all of them. Glass exploded, the reflections shattered into nothing. A scream echoed that wasn't mine. The air went cold. Then silent. And she was gone. Or so I thought. That was 3 months ago. Now sometimes I wake up and things are out of place. My books rearranged. My toothbrush wet even if I haven't used it. Sometimes I hear the lullaby again, soft from the closet. And just last night I saw my reflection blink. Before I did. She's still here, still waiting, and one day I know she'll wear my face again. The end.